A single screenshot has more power over you than a Viking axe ever would, and that should embarrass every comfortable man listening. Before the laugh even arrives, your chest tightens, and your thumb freezes, and your mind starts digging a grave for your reputation. Many was not a mild bad feeling for northern men. Shame could strip trust, law hall, and warmth from a man who lost his place. Outlawry meant the outlaw's path, where a man became a wolf outside the fence, someone anyone could kill without guilt or penalty. Digital exile copies that terror badly, because one ugly clip can feel like being pushed into snow by people who never had to know you. Today strangers with no stake in your life can mock you for 5 seconds, take their little hit of entertainment, and vanish. Once failure meant cold hands, empty stomachs, broken tools, weak shelter, wrong trails, and maybe no morning. Now failure means screenshots, reposts, laughs, and strangers turning your rough first attempt into entertainment. Think of the man who never started his forge because he feared a crooked blade. He died cold. Your forge is your laptop, your gym, your business. Nobody fears the mistake alone, because mistakes end when the lesson is taken and the work begins again. Screens save the wound, pass it around, and make embarrassment look permanent to a mind that has forgotten hardship. Many people fear posting, pitching, lifting, dating, selling, applying, apologizing, and standing there while effort gets judged. Businesses collapse, gym form looks ugly, dates go silent, money disappears, voices shake, and one stumble becomes a trial. Pause there, because only the screen defines the score if you kneel to it. Word meant fate, and a Northman knew death would come whether he trembled in bed or stood in the line. Therefore, wasting life fearing one comment is not wisdom. It is surrender wrapped in modern language. Vikings had no safe spaces, they had shield walls, and the wall worked only when each man held his place. Their softness was not private, because dropping your shield exposed the man beside you to iron. Older failure had bone inside it, because hunger, weather, weak shelter, wrong trails, and lost fights killed. Broken tools meant cold hands, wrong trails meant empty stomachs, weak shelters meant rain on sleeping bodies, lost fights meant blood on snow. Current failure often means embarrassment, but embarrassment now has machines, storage, speed, search, and a hungry audience. Pew reports teens describing social media pressure, drama, exclusion, and worse feelings about their own lives. Data matters because the crowd only needs one ugly second to make a nervous person retreat. Apparently the mind survives heated rooms, Wi-Fi delivery, and full fridges, but not laughter. Still, the crowd is not the real enemy, because the crowd only becomes powerful when you use it as an excuse. Crowds become the story you tell yourself while staying in bed, postponing the work and calling retreat intelligence. Actual danger is not the laugh, riskless silence is the real wound, because nothing grows inside it. Humiliation is old, but machines made it instant, searchable, repeatable, and cheap. Comfort lies calmly, making it more dangerous than defeat, because defeat at least tells you something broke. Discipline dies quietly when every need arrives unearned, and every fear gets treated like a sacred warning. Here is the bridge from philosophy to practice, because knowing the problem is not the same as moving. Freezing does not mean you are broken. The body freeze is a signal, not a royal command. Shield walls existed because fear needed structure, because one man alone can panic, while a line can hold. Your modern shield wall must be smaller, cleaner, and real enough to keep you from worshipping imaginary strangers. Online mobs are the enemy army, not the men beside you, and their opinion should not command your hands. True friends do not care that your gym form looks ugly while you learn, they care that you showed up. Brothers worth keeping do not laugh, because your first video sounds rough. They help you make the second one better. Family worth serving needs your strength, not your perfect image, because life eventually asks everyone to carry weight. Fighters in the old line did not care what the enemy thought of their beard. They cared whether the shield held. Build rails before courage disappears by using routines, deadlines, honest friends, and clear rules. Send the email before you negotiate with fear. Walk into the gym before the mind writes poems. Post the rough first video before the imaginary crowd becomes a god. Capability comes from containment, not waiting for fear to leave, because fear often leaves only after action begins. Modern science is catching up to what forefathers whispered over fire, and this is where the old road returns. Stanford calls the useful version growth mindset, failure as lesson, not verdict. Both lessons point the same way. Challenge helps when a man corrects course and tries again. Cosplay is not the answer, because nobody needs fake forest rebellion or a costume version of strength. Principle is simple: use modern life without kneeling to softness. Repair something, lift something, answer clearly despite risk, say the hard sentence, and take feedback without acting stabbed. Softness is not kindness. Padding can become a cell with better lighting. Avoidance dresses like wisdom, using words like research, timing, peace, boundaries, and preparation to hide untouched work. Applications wait, channels wait, training waits, and apologies wait, and ventures rot inside notebooks. Imagination becomes the battlefield before any door, barbell, phone, apology, application, or first public attempt. Fear once sounded like ice cracking underfoot or wolves howling beyond firelight. Currently it asks one question: what will they think? Useful imagination prepares the hand, while poisonous imagination replaces the hand. Somehow modern man invented losing a fight that never started. Reality cannot be bribed, blocked, muted, or impressed by branding. Plans collapse when weak, bodies tire when lazy, habits charge interest when ignored, and confidence breaks when fantasy has to work. Hunger did not care about motivation. Winter did not care about self-image. Tools did not repair themselves because someone felt overwhelmed. Truth counts the score without asking permission, which is why failure remains the last honest teacher. Formerly, shame came from people who knew your name, needed your work, and had a stake in your strength. Faceless shame comes from nameless shadows and cowards outside the sun. Open effort becomes dangerous, so people act detached, ironic, and above trying. Villages shamed you, but they also needed you to repair, fight, return, and stand in the line. Mobs online do not need you. They consume one awkward moment and move on hungry. Fail where real people can see you, keep moving afterward, and stop treating strangers as judges. Sheltered children become adults who think correction is abuse, because every small edge was removed before reality arrived. Kindness is not the enemy. Removing consequences until adulthood becomes an ambush is the enemy. Minor failures teach when examined and followed by correction, not when wrapped in excuses. Edge-free society does not create safety. It creates people who bleed from paper cuts. Bridge back now, away from saga and into your room. Northmen moved because they had to, and you have to move because comfort is eating you slowly. Honest failure is cleaner than fake success, because at least failure shows where the body lies. Counterfeit wins look like likes, shallow praise, empty titles, and confidence without proof. Such success feels warm, but it teaches nothing. Thus failure teaches only when you look directly at what broke. Artificial success protects ego, while skill grows from the ugly report. Sugar tastes better than meat, but one keeps you alive. Cowards do not fail less. Cowardice fails daily while calling itself peace. Procrastination wears maturity, and waiting often means waiting for evidence to stop existing. Again, bring this back from saga to room. Maybe your test is the post button, apology, application, first squat set, first video, or honest sentence. Life arrived, and men acted because the world did not pause. Ruin did not come from defeat. Defeat interrupted fantasy and asked for a receipt. Society sells comfort, validation, scrolling, and shortcuts, then wonders why people collapse. Self-reliance teaches the old lesson: carry responsibility and stop outsourcing backbone. Notice the pattern inside every comfortable house where tomorrow is always promised. Directly behind avoided tasks sits a courtroom of imaginary strangers. Evidence beats mood because one attempt beats 10 hidden plans. Correction hurts pride because the first version was not sacred. Effort humiliates the fake self before building the real one. Responsibility begins when a man stops asking for lower weight. Ultimately, failure is not cruelty. Cruelty lies to keep you comfortable. Stop asking life to be harmless. Harmless life creates soft hands and clever fear. Ask yourself to become harder to break. Enter before the mind builds another saga about tomorrow. Train there until the laugh loses power. Finally, shame becomes fuel, not chain. Do not just watch this. Name what you hide from in the comments. Drag it into light, or it eats you in darkness. Forge something useful before sunset. Tomorrow is another excuse factory. Move before noon. Allow the world to see shield cracks, because it proves you stood fighting.